So thank you all for coming out and being with us today. And this is shared with Ruby, this is a solemn occasion, but it's also a joyful occasion. It's solemn because we're very mindful of the loss that was suffered by the Cole family. And we're joyful because we restored Timothy's good name. And you know, the 22nd book of Proverbs begins with a really simple truth. And it says that a good name is more desirable than great riches. To be esteemed is better than silver or gold. Ruby, I know that means the world to you, and it means the world to me. To be here today, to look you in the eye, to tell you that your son is pardoned. And I know there is nothing that anyone in this room, there's nothing that anyone in this state, there's nothing that anyone in this world can do to change the past. But we can state clearly, and we can say that the full weight of the state of Texas is behind us, that your son was innocent of the crime for which he was convicted. And I want to take a moment to say thank you to a couple of folks. One is the Attorney General. Greg Abbott he did very careful interpretation, and Mary Ann Wiley, who is in our office, and she worked very closely with General Abbott as well, and the State Board of Pardons and Paroles. They acted very quickly upon the request to send in a unanimous decision on this, the heels of the finding by the Attorney General. And there's someone else here today who deserves the recognition that's very appropriate for today's proceedings, and that's a reporter who went the extra mile, an individual who drew attention to the evidence of Tim's innocence. And we all owe a very special debt of gratitude to Elliot Blackburn from the Lubbock Avalanche Journal. Elliot. You exemplify the highest calling of your profession, and that is how important, and you proved once again the importance of our First Amendment rights. And I want to say thank you again for the work that you've done. Ruby, on behalf of 24 million Texans, it gives me a great deal of satisfaction to share this with you today, but also the condolences of the 24 million people that I have the great privilege and to represent. Condolences for your loss, and I want to commend you for your very graceful persuasiveness over the years. It's been I know it's been an incredibly difficult and trying time for you and your family, but I don't know of anyone that I've had the pleasure personally to have had association with that was more graceful, a more wonderful, loving Christian woman than you. And I want to say I love you.
Thank you. I love you too, Thank you. Today is the day. Even though it's bittersweet, the quest is over. Our family would like to thank those who worked so diligently to make this day come to pass. I'd like to thank Jeff Blackburn and the Innocence Project of Texas, Judge Charlie Baird, and members of the Texas Legislature, our Attorney General Greg Abbott, and our Governor, the Honorable Rick Perry. Also, I'd like to thank Attorney Mike Brown. And lastly, my son Timothy for his contributions, though he's not here, towards effecting change in the improvements in the criminal justice system of our great state of Texas. Thank you.
It's been a hard, long fight for our family. This month marks 25 years that Tim was arrested for a crime he did not commit. All the exonerees who are here, would you please stand? Raise your hand. Don't you ever surrender. Those who still languish in our prison cells, waiting on DNA testing. It will happen, but there had to be a sacrifice. And Tim stepped up to the plate. And in the good book, it is written, in his namesake, in the book of Timothy, I fought the fight, I finished the race, and above all, I kept the faith. Thank you again to the Innocence Project of Texas for his diligent work and believing in a man who they never met and will never meet. And thank you to Governor Perry for helping us with all of our legislation as we look forward to the next session to create new laws to make sure that no other person will have to endure what we endure. If you're waiting on DNA testing, hold on. Do as Tim did. Don't you surrender. Don't you give up. Suffering breeds character. Character breeds faith. And above all, hold on to your faith. As we depart here, we would ask that each and every one of you join us at the Mount Olivet Cemetery, where we will do our very best to bestow this historic pardon on Timothy. The first posthumous pardon in the state of Texas, the first posthumous DNA pardon in the United States.
Corey, thank you very much. And I'd like to take a moment of personal privilege and ask State Representative Thompson and Ms. McClendon to come up as well. These are the two individuals that carried that legislation in the House, and Madam Chairman, you all
This certainly is my soul sister in the House, and Senator Rodney Ellis is our soul brother in the Senate. So we need to thank him as well. Just briefly, Rufus Sessions and I both agree that Timothy Cole was put on this earth for a purpose, like we all are put on earth for a purpose. And what he has done in his 13 years of languishing in prison, knowing that he was not guilty, has done so much for this state. And the reason that we are here today will put a mark on what will happen in the future. So I am just blessed to be a part of this. I thank God for this pardon so that the family can finally get some closure. We can go to the next level. Thank you.
I filed a bill along with Ruth McClendon, and we decided to just join efforts in one bill, because the effort was to get a bill passed and get it passed for the purpose in which the bill stood. I'm an AKA. Most of you in this room don't know what that is. And Ruth is a Delta. And usually AKAs and Deltas, you know, my sorority is considered the superior sorority, and she believes her sorority is superior sorority. But what I want you to know, ladies and gentlemen, that the two sororities joined forces and worked this out. When I have been in the legislature some 38 years, and Governor Perry came in as a legislator, rocking and rolling. That's what he said, let's rock and roll.
All right.
Well, I'm going to say this. I am proud today, Rick Perry, to stand here as the first state in this nation to see you rock and roll this historical piece of legislation through and set an example for all states in this union to follow. I'm a mother of 3 children, and no mother plans to bury her child or any of her children. And I sympathize with Mrs. Cole, and I know that you join me in that sympathy.